Good evening. Chair sees a quorum and calls this meeting of the Whitestown Town Council to order at 7 o'clock.
Recording in progress.
I didn't check with everyone. Everyone in from the...
Lobby's being admitted now.
All right. Slowly getting started.
Lobby's in.
Lobby's in. Everyone good up there? All right. So, call to order. Will all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. Next, we'll have a roll call of members.
Councilman Nichols.
Here.
Councilman Miller.
Present.
Councilman Baum.
Howdy.
Councilman Austin.
Present.
Councilman Wishick.
Here. All right. Thank you, everyone. Next, I'm going to offer a motion to amend the agenda. First, I'm going to move item A under Public Request to Speak number 5 up to presentation so we can hear from the Little League as soon as we get going. And then I'm also going to add under other business an item for us to establish a date for the budget meeting, and I'll explain why we're doing that at the end of the agenda. That would be my motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
We got a motion and seconds. Is there further discussion on the motion to amend? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. The agenda is amended and adopted. So, with that, we'll move on to presentations. And I would like to call up Little League with Jojo Reinbold and Stu. I believe you're as well. Sorry. Hartenstein. I got it wrong so many times. I didn't want to do it without being told. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you to the Whitestown Town Council for a few minutes on your agenda. My name's Jojo Reinbold, and I'm here in two capacities. One, as a member of the Little League International Board of Directors, and secondly, as a citizen of this county and someone who just wants to express my sincere appreciation for what Whitestown has done for an organization that is very near and dear to my family and to me. So almost 6 years ago to the date, almost, on September 30th, 2016, Little League International issued an RFP to 13 states, and they wanted to relocate its Central Region headquarters from 42nd and Post, just east of 42nd and Post, on the east side of Indianapolis. My husband Michael and I led that effort with a very committed group of citizens and community members through a 14-month extremely competitive process that resulted in a huge success. We won. We were going to keep the headquarters not only in Indiana, but we were going to bring it to Boone. We were going to bring it to Boone County. But what we discovered through the twists and turns of public hearings, and you live this every day, not only the public hearing side, but also the expectations of Little League International, was that while we got the win, we didn't get it exactly right. And that's where Whitestown stepped up. And they showed not only what it could do, but also what it could become. Whitestown became Little League's new home, and it could not have been a better choice. So fast forward to the first year of that complex on Indianapolis Road being open, summer of 2021, when the Zionsville girls softball team advanced to the Little League Softball World Series representing the Central Region. Year 2, Hagerstown Little League wins the Great Lakes region to go on to the Little League Baseball World Series to represent Indiana for the first time since 2012. It has been a picture of the true joy of youth sports and the communities that embrace them. Not only the teams' communities that follow them through this crazy journey from their hometowns to hopefully Williamsport, but also the communities that embrace them as their hosts. So even though I live in Zionsville, I love hearing those words uttered on national TV. We're coming to you live from the Little League Central Region in Whitestown. So Stu Hartenstein is here with me. He's the director of the Central Region. He's the one who gets everything done, and I know he frequently meets with all of you on how to make the event better. But before I turn to him for his comments, I simply just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to the Whitestown leadership, town council, staff, and the community for turning an idea into a reality that is even better than what we first imagined. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Stu Hartenstein. I'm the Central Region Director with Little League International. And like JoJo said, Little League's not only near and dear to her heart, it's near and dear to mine as well. I was a Little League guy from 5 years old on up. I have not experienced a season in my life without Little League baseball in it. And Indianapolis has always been home for a lot of memories from me in the regional tournament, and I'm excited that it continues to be home for me in the context of hosting this regional tournament. I grew up in Ohio, and I came to take the job in December, and have since been in that place, and I've been calling Indiana home, specifically Sheridan home, since mid-March. So it's been a whirlwind for me of change around here, and I share that with you because Whitestown has very quickly become very near and dear to my heart, not only because that's where our office is, but because that's the people that I get to work with on a daily basis. So as JoJo mentioned, her gratitude for the people that make up Whitestown, not only our community, but those in positions of leadership. Just thank you from Little League, from my perspective, of making my job really, really easy. People ask me time and time again what the feedback has been from our regional tournament, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. Either I don't hear anything, or people just rave about it, and it's really the only two things that are out there. And I think that's a signal that, number one, we're doing a good job from the Little League standpoint, but that doesn't happen without the support necessary of a town and a partnership that we have here. So I'm very thankful for those individuals that I get to work with from the city on a daily basis, whether it be you guys from the city or even the people in the community in the context of the businesses and everyone else in here. It just couldn't be a more perfect fit. And the end result, as JoJo mentioned, is an experience that we're able to create for people from 13 different states that they can't imagine or put into words after they're done. So thank you from Little League Central Region for making this special, for continuing to make it special. Met with a lot of folks from the town today. There's a lot of exciting things that you all know about on the horizon, and we are just so very thankful to be a part of that and very excited to have a role in that moving forward. So thank you so much for your continued support. We look forward to further things on the horizon with everyone. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you very much for being here tonight, and I just want to add thank you for what you've done. When this project was first coming together, we were so excited for it to happen. We were looking forward to bringing it to fruition, and when COVID hit, we were concerned about how we were going to move forward, but then y'all did an amazing job hosting a tournament, getting all the restrictions that you had in 2020, and then this year being able to have fans back in the stadium. It was a great opportunity to represent the town at the opening ceremonies. I loved going to those games and seeing the excitement and feeling the buzz. And hearing from people from different states saying positive things about what y'all were doing and being in our community. And it was a welcome addition to what happens in the life of Whitestown. So as always, I enjoy saying welcome to Whitestown, and I got to say it many times over those couple of weeks, and I look forward to doing it for many years in the future, and I do look forward to the collaboration between you and staff. And again, thank you to staff for everything you've done over these last several years to make this event a success, and I encourage us to continue that partnership and to keep it going. So thank you all. With that, we'll now move on to the Clerk Treasurer's Report. Are there any questions on the Clerk Treasurer's Report? Seeing no, move to department reports. I'd just like to note here, for those keeping track with some of our construction projects, over on the west side of I-65 on exit 130, there's been some work being done. As you may recall, we approved at the beginning of the year a median to be installed there on on the Parkway because we're having issues with traffic blockages from trucks leaving the TA. That median has now been poured, so as it sets up, we should be able to take down some of those construction barrels and traffic will free flow there again. But I'm very happy and excited about what that's going to do, and thank you to Danny and your team to get that done this year so we can provide some more safety features to that particular area. Other questions for department heads on their reports?
It's been a busy summer.
It has.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you specifically to the police department for all of the traffic efforts that they've been doing over in Walker Farms the past, couple weeks. Since the main street was closed down for the roundabout, I just want to thank you for all those efforts to ensure that the citizens are safe there, because people were flying through there down Indigo Blue, and your traffic enforcement certainly helped, I think, slow the speeds down. So thank you.
All right. Seeing no other comments, we'll move on to public request to speak. Nathan, anyone signed up to speak on non-agenda items?
No one has requested to speak online on non-agenda or agenda at this time.
All right. Mr. Clerk Treasurer, anyone for non-agenda items?
No.
Anyone for agenda items?
No.
Okay. All right, next we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, which includes item A, approval of meeting minutes from August 10th, 2022, and the August 17th, 2022 special budget meeting. B, claims, August 22 expenses town, August 2022 revenues town, August utility claims. C, consider approval of out-of-state travel for planning department staff to attend the regional planning conference. D, consider approval of insurance proposal and authorize town manager and HR director to take all appropriate actions related thereto, subject to legal review. E, consider expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $86,000. That's a water department dump truck and plow. F, consider a resolution acquiring property at 5827 East 300 South. G, consider amendment to ADA transition plan for curb ramp replacement. H, consider agreement with MS Consultants for stormwater utility master plan and MS4 formation. I, consider a resolution approving the sale of real estate to the Town of Whitestown Redevelopment Commission. J, consider approval of CityWorks proposal. K, consider approval of sale of Whitestown PD surplus property, the Chevy Tahoe. L, consider approval of Baird agreement for 2022 GEO bond review. M, consider expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $9,000, the fire department hiring process testing.
All right, I've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and second. Is there further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. All right, thank you all. Now we'll move on to the unfinished business agenda. And that is consider adoption of Ellis Acres PUD rezone ordinance 2022-28. Nathan, we have someone signed up to speak
Yes.
on this item.
Yes, we have someone online that has requested to speak.
All right.
Been asked to unmute.
Okay, this is Beth. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you for just giving me one more chance to speak on this. I sent a letter, but just kind of wanted to read it here to reiterate that I still do not support the Ellis Acres PUD rezone, even at their lesser rate of 65 townhomes. I just don't feel it's a meaningful enough drop in density for the developers to really state they're taking our density concerns seriously. I appreciate that they have made some nods to the level of standards, but to our family who looks out on this property every day and has for 13 years, the density is really a larger concern to us. In the original report, the Whitestown professional town developers who are employed by the town to ensure responsible growth and development, they stated that there were issues with both level of standards and density and gave the project an unfavorable recommendation. I believe that they recommended a density level of more around 50 or 53 townhomes would be acceptable, and 65 to me is just still not close enough to that. So we would just like to see, as I said, we've looked out on this property for 13 years, driven by the front of property almost daily, and we've not once seen a meaningful sign that the property's up for sale. So I'm concerned that this proposal is being pushed through without other people getting a chance to propose another type of townhome development or some lower density townhome development for the land. And I really think instead of just pushing this project through, maybe we need to listen more and see if there's a developer who would be willing to listen to the town planners and the town's needs and propose something that's lower density. Thanks for letting me have the chance to speak, and I appreciate the work that all of you do and the time that you devote to Whitestown. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Nathan, anyone else that has signed up to speak?
No one online.
For the petitioner.
Yes. All right. Anyone else other than the petitioner that wishes to speak? Come forward. Well, the petitioner can provide rebuttal after.
Thank you all for allowing me to speak. Just like everybody else kind of states.
Can you just tell us what your name is, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt Wormer. I
Yes.
live in Eagles Nest, 7810 Park Bay.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Sorry.
I'm not a formal guy. I believe that the density is too much. I can look past it and kind of get over that. Even though I don't agree with it, I don't think there's a perfect solution. I don't think we're ever going to get a perfection. I don't think anybody, if they think that, then they're way out of bounds to do that. I think a bigger issue is traffic, and that's what I spoke about last time. Is I want to make sure that the council is, I guess, makes a commitment to get the potential traffic issues addressed. I think that's my bigger concern about it. Because I did do a quick count, with the 65 townhomes, 97-ish homes being built down by the golf course, and then another 115 plus the apartments that just went in. It's a lot of traffic for not to make those changes sooner rather than later. And from what I've heard, I might be wrong. I don't know that there's any commitment to what that timeline is, and I think it'd be a good idea to get that. I think it'd make a lot of people happy, a lot happier on that. But I don't know. That's my opinion on it. Appreciate your time, evening. Sorry, I just kind of fumbled over my words, but
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone else that wishes to speak other than the petitioner? Now let the petitioner have an opportunity to rebut.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Frederick Lawrence. I'm an attorney with Nelson and Frankenberger. Alpha's address is 550 Congressional Boulevard in Carmel, Indiana. With me here tonight on behalf of Platinum Properties is Paul Rio. The Halseys are also here, who are the owners of the property, and my law partner, Jim Shinover. We're back here after last month. I don't think I need to rehash the big proposal that's in front of you. Needless to say, this is 10 acres at the southwest intersection of East 750 South and Indianapolis Road. I wanted to go over a couple items that have been discussed at the last meeting, and then also what's happened in the 30 days ensuing to that. First of all, the big item was we reduced the number of units to 65 from 70. You're all aware of that from last month. At last month's hearing, we also had a discussion at the end regarding commercial development on the site. We worked with the board's attorney to clarify the language in the PUD ordinance. It's section 2.4 that tried to clarify, I believe, what the council's issue was with commercial versus the residential. So I hope that language is now satisfactory to you guys. Also, there was some discussion about adding additional trees in the buffer zone, which abuts Eagles Nest directly to section 25, which the way Eagles Nest was developed, there's two different HOAs. There's a small 26-home section along Indianapolis Boulevard, and there's a larger section. This relates to the buffer between this proposed development and the small Eagles Nest. I think there was a request to add 4 additional trees. I think that would take that area up to 39. We can accommodate that request and some revised language that the attorney, your board attorney, and we can work out. Also, there was some questions regarding the height of the mounding, both along the exterior and interior. We understand that the measurement should be taken as the level, not the swale. So we want the 4 foot at the minimum to be consistent with what everyone thinks it's going to be. However, that language needs to be revised. We're willing to do that. The owner, Jennifer Knotts, who I believe you guys were forwarded an email from, who is the president of that HOA, had a meeting, I think last week, with one of the board members there or the council members to discuss whatever concerns they have. I don't believe anyone showed up that raised any issues. I think one person did show up, but I don't think they talked about this project. She has asked also that the mound be higher, and we're willing to accommodate that as long as we keep the slope in line with what it's supposed to be and then keep out of the easements. So however that language needs to be revised, we're willing to do that. I don't want to take any more of your time unless you have specific questions, but I think we addressed some of the issues that came up last week. I think, as the gentleman before me pointed out, this is a unique site. It's dual zoned, as we pointed out, with business on one and residential on the other. This is creating a unique opportunity to try to come up with a solution. We believe that solution is these townhomes that we're proposing. And with that, I will answer any questions, or we can have Paul Rio with Platinum also answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. questions from the council for the petitioner? Hearing none? Thank you very much. Thank you. One thing I do want to do, Todd, if you could just clarify, there was a comment that the plan staff gave an unfavorable recommendation. My recollection is that Plan Commission gave no recommendation on this as they sent it to the council.
That is correct, yes.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay. So, discussion from the council on ordinance 2022-28.
Mr. President, on recognition of the additional concessions that they're making, I would like to see those integrated into the document before we're signing it.
So you would like to see, instead of going with the commitments, you want to see those reduced to legal language and incorporate into the PUD?
I believe, if I heard correctly, that they've made additional concessions since this was prepared.
There were, if I may, there were two concessions. One was adding 4 more trees, and then the other one is just maybe clarifying the language, and we can work with Todd and the attorney to make sure that everyone's on the same page with the height of the mounding and where it's supposed to be measured from. And I think we can get that done if we just make sure it's in the record tonight. We can work with the attorney and get that to you. We just don't want to waste anyone's time.
So what you could do is, if you wanted to approve the ordinance with those changes, is the motion is approving those ordinance with those two changes, and then we will go back and then we want to make sure the minutes reflect that. So if anybody ever goes back and sees the minutes, will reflect that. And then we'll make sure that the language actually in the PUD that's printed and on file in the planning office has the 39 trees and the language about the what the 4 feet is measured from.
And Steve, that sounds similar to what we've done with other commitments in the past, where they have made commitments, and then the language has followed up after that.
Yes, a PUD ordinance is a little bit different.
A little bit different,
than
but it's
other
very
planning.
similar
You
to
have
that.
actually more
Right.
flexibility to amend a PUD ordinance midstream than you would a normal zoning ordinance, but I think that would be the appropriate way here to address it.
Does that address your concern? Okay. Further discussion?
For me, if I may. So, I've personally received about 10 to 20 times more communication from residents against this than I have for it. For that reason, and the other reason, this would be the highest density townhome in the town, from what I've gathered. It would be on the per acre basis. It goes against the current comp plan. And we do not have a favorable recommendation from the commission. We don't have an unfavorable one, but we also don't have a favorable one. I just feel like it's not quite enough. It's just a little too dense for me and for me to support it. And I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I'm hoping you would take that into consideration with your decision.
Thank you. Further discussion?
And for the pieces that I cover, I've had some people say they were against it, only limited to density. Most were the traffic concerns. And I do think with the residents around there, we need to be more clear about the timeline on those. We need to express that better, and I'll work with the town to come up with those so that we can spread what that is and the timelines we're looking at for those for expectation. I've had a good number of people that are for it because they would rather take what we know and what we know to be residential versus what that land is currently zoned for and the risks that go with that, right? So I just want to make sure those points were covered. The rest, I would just incorporate what I discussed at the last meeting as with the people that I've talked to since and the event that I had that was referred to when we invited people and only a few came. They haven't changed the position I've had since then on take the one you know versus even if it's not your ideal, take the one you know.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Further discussion? What I like to acknowledge is this is a unique situation. One, it's a very unique parcel in both its shape, its size, and the fact that it has two different pieces of zoning on this particular parcel that make it even more interesting to try and work with. But mainly, the Plan Commission sent us a no recommendation, something that really hasn't happened before. So when that happened, I took it upon myself to investigate, do some research, and figure out what the story was behind the vote. So I reached out to our resident members of the Plan Commission and talked with each one of them to get their feedback, to get their thoughts. Each one of them expressed the same thing, that the product being suggested, the townhome product, because of the zoning, because of the unique status of the land, was a good product. It was a project that they wanted to move forward, but they wanted to see some changes made, but due to the timeline, they gave a no recommendation to keep it moving and to leave it to the council to make a decision. So then I worked with town staff to talk about where is the right compromise? Where can we find some common ground? There were commitments made by the developer who was trying to close a land deal with the landowner who has been a part of this community for several decades to improve the quality, the standards, and they showed that through their commitments there. They then increased the buffering. They then tried and moved forward on reducing the number of units to bring the density down. They came forward, we asked them for another 30 days, and during that time, they also made further commitments, which you heard tonight, about adjusting the berm height and about working to add even more buffering. As a part of this process, they have committed to also dedicating right-of-way so that we can put a roundabout in right at the neighborhood. As part of our longer or short, well, midterm plan, if you will, as I will also commit with Councilman Nichols to put some context around what that plan looks like, what that timeline is, so the residents get a better feel for what we're going to do with Indianapolis Road in the long term and what that piece of infrastructure will look like. This roundabout, this land dedication for the roundabout will also help to improve traffic flow and address those concerns as we do acknowledge the growth that needs to be handled. It's why you see us adding roundabouts. First Indianapolis Road, and now we're seeing it at Main Street, as Councilman Miller pointed out, being closed with a shortened, reduced timeline so that we could turn around that piece of infrastructure faster and for a lower cost while adding other safety benefits. It's that kind of thought process we're putting forward in some of these pieces. So we're working on addressing that traffic. We're working on identifying these products. To the comments that have been made, we've seen individuals, especially Section 10, putting their support behind this project because we do feel it may not be perfect, but I think this is a very positive compromise that can move us forward. I think there's been a lot of good work done here, and I know that there are individuals who oppose this. I know there are individuals that don't think this is the right thing to move forward, but from my perspective, trying to find the best path forward for all involved and for the town as a whole in the future, I think this is a good fit, which is why I would like to offer a motion to adopt ordinance number 2022-28.
As one representing, I'll put myself on there to second it.
With the commitments as stated at the microphone multiple times per council's instructions that we can amend the PUD.
4 additional trees.
4 additional trees,
and mounding
the mounding
based
adjustments,
based off of the right-of-way.
mounding based off right-of-way.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and I have a second. Is there further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion is adopted.
We appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, moving on to our new business agenda. I have item A, public hearing, the Clark tax abatement. I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:29 p.m.
No one is requested to speak online on this item.
This is on resolution number 2022-24. This is a confirmatory resolution of the town of Whitestown, Indiana. This is for the Indianapolis Logistics Park Northwest Land LLC. Anyone in the room to speak? All right. Hearing none, will the council on the public hearing?
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I've got a motion and a second for the discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion's adopted. Public hearing is closed at 7:30 p.m. All right. Next, we move on to item B, consider adoption of confirmatory resolution approving the Clark tax abatement, resolution 2022-24. Resolution number 2022-24, a confirmatory resolution of the town of Whitestown, Indiana for the designation of an economic revitalization area and approval of real property tax abatement application, Indianapolis Logistics Park, Northwest Land LLC, Whitestown ILPNL ERA. For all those, the confirmatory resolution is the last step in the abatement process. We have already heard a declaratory, and the RDC and Plan Commission have also heard similar resolutions. I'll offer a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-24.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion is adopted. Next, we'll move on to item C, the public hearing for Weaver popcorn tax abatement. I'll open the public hearing at 7:31 p.m. Nathan?
No one online to speak on this item.
Mr. Clerk Treasurer? No one? Still? Anyone? Will of the council on the public hearing for Weaver popcorn tax abatement.
Move
Mr.
to
President, I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I've got a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion's adopted. Public hearing is closed also at 7:31 p.m. Next, move on to item D, consider adoption of confirmatory resolution approving Weaver popcorn tax abatement, resolution 2022-23. Resolution 2022-23, confirmatory resolution of the town of Whitestown, Indiana for the designation of an economic revitalization area and approval of personal property tax abatement application, Weaver Popcorn Manufacturing Incorporated, Whitestown Weaver Popcorn ERA. I make a motion we adopt resolution number 2022-23.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. Motion's adopted. Next, we'll move on to item E, public hearing for Strategic Capital Partners tax abatement. I'll open the public hearing at 7:32 p.m. Nathan?
No one to speak online on this item.
Mr. Clerk Treasurer? Still no one? Anyone? Okay.
Mr. President, I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
We got motions. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. Motion's adopted. Public hearing is closed at 7:33 p.m. Next, we move on to the public hearing on the IWIS tax abatement. Resolution number 2022-22, a confirmatory resolution of the town of Whitestown, Indiana for the designation of an economic revitalization area and approval of real property tax abatement application, SCP Acquisitions LLC, Whitestown SCP ERA. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-22.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. Motion's adopted. Next, move on to consider public hearing on IWIS. I got ahead of myself on that last one. Apologies. I'll open this public hearing at 7:33 p.m.
No one online to speak at this time.
No one online to speak. Mr. Clerk Treasurer, still no one signed up to speak for this one as well. All right, thank you, sir. Will of the council for this public hearing.
Mr. President, I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I've got a motion and a second for the discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. Motion is adopted. Public hearing is closed at 7:34 p.m. Next, move on to item H, consider adoption of confirmatory resolution approving IWIS. IWIS tax abatement resolution number 2022-21. And just so everyone knows, when we did item F, it was the confirmatory resolution for Strategic Capital Partners tax abatement, which was resolution 2022-22. Now we're doing resolution 2022-21, which is a confirmatory resolution of the town of Whitestown, Indiana for the designation of an economic revitalization area and approval of real property tax and personal property tax abatement application, IWIS Drive Systems LLC, Whitestown, IWIS ERA. I'll make a motion we adopt resolution number 2022-21.
Second.
Motion seconds. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion's adopted. Actually, because we read the title, okay, everything was copacetic. Now, item I, consider a resolution approving the sale of Whitestown PD personal property of Boone County Prosecutor's Office, Resolution 2022-26. I just want to say this is a great opportunity to showcase how the town of Whitestown is leading the way in cooperation across the county. We have really put great work into what Chief Ralston is doing over at the new PD headquarters, that their staff is supporting multiple different law enforcement agencies in the work that they do. We even have a member of the prosecutor's office who works in our building a couple days a week. And I think that's been a great step forward. And this resolution really does speak to the positive position we, Whitestown, are in financially, to where we have this asset that we are able to transfer over to the prosecutor's office, just like we have done with school corporations in the area. So being able to work with and cooperate with our county partners like this, especially in the law enforcement community, is something I want to make sure that it is well noted for everyone, and that we are devoted here into finding solutions and working to take care of residents, and that is our mission here. So that's why this is on our agenda instead of being on consent. And I just want to thank the chief. I want to thank Susan and Eric, especially Susan, for all of your time on the police commission. It's the work you've been doing over multiple years that have led to this. So I just want to say thank you to all involved as we present this resolution and offer for its adoption.
I second. But I thank our police department for all the outreach that they do. And, I don't want to leave out our fire. Although this one is about police, our public safety folks all work hand in hand with everybody else. And it's all about the residents of Boone County. It's not about any individual department. It's not any individual municipality. It's about what's doing best and what's doing right for the residents. So we appreciate you.
Very much. Any further discussion? I will offer a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-26.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. Other business. We actually have an item tonight for other business. So the county sent over some of our AV data much later than what they should have. So we were unable to get a public notice into the newspapers for the 10-day statutory required deadline so that we could have our budget hearing, first read and public hearing tonight, which is why it was not on the agenda and why you've seen an email in your inboxes requesting a date. A couple of individuals mentioned that they had availability on September 28th. We need to make sure that we have 3 members present so that we can have the first read, so we can have the official quorum for the meeting, and to have the public hearing to allow members of the public to provide their comments on the budget that's being presented. So that's why it's on the agenda, just to make sure that we solidify a date. I had offered up the 28th. I know, Jeff, you had said that was a good date for you. Is that still a good date? Susan, does that work for you? Now, Eric, I know you two had business commitments, so you weren't able to attend. Is that still the case?
It is.
All right. If the 3 of us can commit to being here in, what is that, 2 weeks from now? Yeah. In 2 weeks at our normal 7 o'clock time, then we should be able to get the public notice in time?
Yes.
Okay. Then let's put it on the calendar. And thank you both very much for that. And I hope that next year the county is able to get us our data and information on time so we can have a normal flowing process.
I'm sorry you two won't be able to make it.
Yeah, you're real sorry they can't make a budget meeting. You're sorry we have to be there.
Thankfully, though, because of the way we conduct our meetings, they will be logged on the YouTube, so any and all that come to comment, both virtually and in person, you'll be able to go back and take a look at, and feel free to ask me any questions. I always enjoy telling what happens at our meetings. All right, with that being done, the last thing on our agenda is to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. Okay.